Welcome back to 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. This episode we have Marquee Moon by the band Television, who in all honesty I have never heard of. I had a quick look at their Wikipedia page and all I know is that they are a band from New York, punk/new wave. This album is from 1977 and it's their debut album. This is a reaction video. If you're not following, you haven't watched any of my previous videos, I am subscribed to One Album a Day, 1001 Album Music Generator. I think that's what it's called. Hang on. One Album a Day, 1001albumsgenerator.com. That's the name of it. So there's a lot of albums to get through. It is quite time consuming to do these. And also I got stuck on an album listening to it for weeks on end. So now I'm doing them as reaction videos, especially if it's an album or a band I've never heard of. That's easy to do. So let's kick it off. If you're listening on headphones, you'll notice that it's the old school stereo. Like there's one guitar going da da da, and the other one's going da 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 da, and the other ear, like the way they used to do it in the '60s. I sort of gave the song a fair chance. I also wanted to hear the soloing. Now, I'll say a little bit about what I started to hear. Weirdly enough, even though the Cars came out a little bit after this, I can sense they remind me a little bit of the Cars in the vocal delivery, I guess. I'm trying to think. There's quite a few bands that I can hear influences of in here, and weirdly enough, another one was Adam and the Ants, which I think came out after this band as well. The vocal delivery again sounds like Adam and the Ants. There's an interesting kind of riff that they didn't really change very much. I waited to see if there'd be a solo, and because especially when I'm thinking of the Cars. And any of the other new wave bands that I can think of off the top of my head have pretty good guitarists, pretty tasty solos. The Cars guitarist is like one of the best ever. So I was curious to hear what the soloing would be like. I just say that the soloing probably came from the punk side, which isn't really much of a compliment because punk players aren't particularly well known for being good guitarists. Nothing wrong with not being great. Nothing wrong with not being technically a good player. There's nothing wrong with just chunking out chords. In fact, it's great. Chunking out, playing chords is great. It's probably better than lead guitar in a lot of ways. But sometimes I feel like soloing, if you're not good at it, maybe you shouldn't do it. Thing I also noticed in that song, I should look up when XTC, they remind me a little bit of XTC as well. I think they were early 70s. I might have that completely wrong. But I appreciate the kind of the weirdness of it as well. It would have been a little bit different to what was around at the time. The drumming was pretty good. It was nice and tight with the song that they were playing. I liked the tone of the drums. He seemed to be experimenting with different things, not just playing a standard beat. He was seemed to be doing like a little bit of a drummer boy kind of a thing. I don't know what's going. I can't get past the guitar, the lead guitar. There's certain guitarists that I've come across. I'm not going to mention any of them right now, but there's certain guitarists that I've come across that I think, look, why are you doing what you're doing? Like, it's just not fitting the song. It's not sounding good. Just don't do it. And that's absolutely what I'm getting from this lead guitar, where the soloing is just not cutting it. And I don't know what else to say about that. It's I'm hearing a lot of good elements of the song. Like, the guy's not the greatest singer. Who cares? Like, he's doing his thing. He sounds different. That's all fine. But I'm not gatekeeping soloing. I'd just rather not hear it unless it's done properly or well. That's all. Okay, great example right there. First of all, bear in mind, I've never heard this song before. I knew he was going to do that a second time. That somehow I knew he was going to have a second crack at that. Proving my point. Don't do it unless it's done properly. That was done properly. That was nice and flowy. Except the little next bit wasn't that great. But I thought, okay, cool. Like, it's not a solo, but it's still single note stuff, similar to a solo. I thought that sounded good.
Been some big setup. All action just would not let up. It's just a little bit.
See, I like that. What the guy that did with the guitar, anyone could do that. Who cares? But I thought that was like, it sounded like he was sort of like with the whammy bar. And it was like a little bit dissonant and everything. That's done. That's doing it properly. Good on ya.
Back for the main road, where silence spreads and a mended hose. I start the
See, again, that was simple what he did with the guitar, but it was within his grasp. It was within his limits. It sounded cool to me. So he's doing well now.
tell you complain of my diction. You give me friction. You give me friction. You give me friction. My eyes are like telescopes.
See, cool. Doing a bit of tremolo picking. And that's what that was. That's where he's picking really quickly with the right hand. That was cool.
Go backwards, but who wants hope? If I ever catch that ventriloquist.
I should also point out something that's happening there. There's one guitar going dank, 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 and the other one's sort of finishing off the riff. In the other, you can sort of hear it in the other ear as the other one's finishing, and the other one goes. It's sort of something I remember Block Party years later after this were doing something similar where one guitar would play one chord and the other guitar would play the other.
I squeeze his head right into my fist. Some come tracking in. What is it? What's a prediction? I bet you it's friction.
Also, I'm focusing too much on the guitar. The bass is pretty cool in this song as well. That it's not following the guitar; it's doing its own thing.
It's friction. I bet you it's friction. I'm a snake. Get out of the skin. Is it fiction?
Well, that's a cool song. I quite like that. It's really different. The guitar work was really good in that. And look, again, I'm careful to not gatekeep about soloing. It's not about speed. It's not like about being technically. I feel like that guitar playing, the soloing work in there was right down. I don't even know who the guys are in this band, but that guitarist, he was playing what was suited his style. That's what I was hearing there. That was all the stuff he was doing suited his style, being messy with it, just making crazy noises and stuff. Like, that's cool. Nice little dance going on there between, you got two guitars going and then this bass coming and all playing different things.
Lightning struck itself. I was listening to the rain. I was hearing something else.
Wow, that really went on a journey, didn't it? Really went up there. Then, ding. I'm getting the impression, or also from this band, that the drummer is probably the most proficient muso in the band, both technically and musically, picking up this real strong vibe. And also, don't forget, this is back before Pro Tools or any of that crap. There was no drum machines. So, and this guy's like a metronome. He's playing in time really well, first of all, but he's just coming up with some really creative stuff, doing these really cool, fast fills. Again, it's not just about being fancy, but he's doing that and making it sound good. And if you don't have a decent sound system, you're missing half of this. There's literally two guitars going on this bass line, this cool punk-like. It reminds me a little bit of The Clash, the bass line. I'm trying to show you there what the two different guitars, one's going dan and the other one's playing off each other, and then the bass line doing something completely different, and the drummer, of course. What is this jazz? The way that comes down to ding, it sounds like a seventh chord too.
Dating.
Now, given this is a 10-minute song, I'm going to have to go a little bit further ahead and see what's happening. I'll go a little bit further. Still some cool stuff happening. Still sounding pretty similar, but... Also, I'm just noticing how tight that is. That's their all start, stop, start, stop. That's actually quite hard to do as a band. Well, obviously that's worth listening to. I'm starting to say, look, the start of this, I was wondering what this is doing on this list of songs. I'm starting to see. On the upbeat. Oh my God, that sounds exactly like the Chili Peppers' Californication. I like that song already. I added that pretty early on in listening to that. That was good. All the guitar work was good. And some odd, I didn't get a chance to sort of count, but it had an odd time signature there. You notice it abruptly ends and it starts a new bar. Getting some very strong Rolling Stone vibes. I'm going to assume that this song sort of sounds the same. And then I was just stumbled on some tasty guitar work right there. Yeah, I think I got the gist of that song. I'll move on to the next one.
Ducks, the clock, a whisper woke him up. The smell of water would resume. Gave waves of light, the unreal night. Flat curving of a room. It gets funny. Prove it to the facts. Confidential. Now this case that I've been working on so long. First you creep, then you leap.
Just going to get a bit further.
Prove it.
Moving on.
Curtain reveals another play. Torn curtain.
Wow, that's really cool. I like what's happening there. What the bass is doing, and it sounds really quite unique.
Such an expose and uncertain when beauty meets abuse. Torn curtain loves all ridicule. Rolling back the years, flowing by like tears, rolling back the years I've seen before. Torn curtain, giving me the glance. Torn curtain, it's bringing on the trance. But I'm
There's some very interesting chords being played on the guitar there.
not hurting, holding to the thread. Torn curtain lifts me on the tread.
Okay. It's interesting from what I've just heard. I can tell this is a very innovative band and they're not afraid to try new things. They're certainly not following a trend. It's, to me, it just sounds like they were just doing their own thing, which is absolutely very, very cool that they did that. The guitarist, I think that's the last song, of course, and I got a pretty good idea of what he was capable of and when he was nailing it and when he wasn't. He was certainly capable of nailing it in his own way. Given I know absolutely nothing about the guy, just going off first listen, I'm getting the impression that sometimes, I don't know, maybe he was asked to play different things to what he really wanted to play. Like just that bit where I just stopped right there, that just didn't suit his style. To me, that's what I was hearing. It didn't suit his style, but there was all this other stuff he did which was not fancy at all, but it was just cool. It was edgy and it suited the song. You name it. Wasn't hard to play. It's never about that. It's not about how hard it is to play. There's just something about that I'm listening to going, oh man, that's just not you, dude. Whoever you are playing that, I've heard what you can do on this album. I've heard your solos and all your quirky things you do. Just stick to that. Maybe, look, it was just his first album, so I guess he was just trying stuff out. Again, I've known plenty of people. I've done it myself. I've tried to play stuff that's just not my style or I'm not very good at. And when you're not very good at something, you don't sound very good doing it. Doesn't matter what it is. If you're not good at drums and you try playing it, you don't sound very good. It's just one of those things. So because of the 1001 albums generator, it always asks me to give a rating, which each time I do one of these reviews, I share that rating with people, with you, the viewer. I share what the rating is. It was interesting when I first started. I'll tell you how it went through my mind. At the start, the first song, I thought, oh my God, this is a 1 star. Second song, thought the same thing. The third song, I'm like, oh, this is looking up. And that, by the time I'd hear and I'd save these songs, as you can see, I was starting to think, oh, this is at least going to be a 3-star album here. And then it sort of went downwards. Even though I like this song and everything, and I added it because it's different and I like having different. I don't want everything to be the same on my playlist. I wouldn't say it's my favourite song. It's my least favourite song out of all the ones I've liked here. But I judge an album as a whole. Okay, I'm in the middle of editing this video, which has made me have to listen to all the songs again for a second and third time as I've been doing the editing, and I changed my mind about the rating I originally gave this album. So, as I always rate an album as a whole, but I have now rated this as 3 stars. I did rate it previously as 2. Continue the video. Be that as it may, that's where I'm at with Television, the band Television, and their first album. And look, it is their first album, and back in those days it was well known that the bands didn't really hit their peak until album number 4. Think about Led Zeppelin 4, that was their biggest album. Toto 4. There's all these artists where they get to, it's a well-known thing that they had to get good at their craft. For a first album, pretty good. Well, I've heard it now. It is what it is. And as usual, thank you for watching. Adios.